The following presentation is brought to you by kmmedia.pro. Please visit kmmedia.pro for more information. Now stay right where you are as we present. Welcome to Positive Talk Radio, evolving ideas, one conversation at a time. Great guests, dynamic stories and interviews, plus new thoughts on a wide range of topics and concepts. I hope that you'll hang with me, Kevin McDonald, my friends, and of course, you. As together we work to understand why we are all here and what we can do to make our world a better place for all of us. To be happy, be kind, and live in peace together. Yep, that's Positive Talk Radio. Episode of Positive Talk Radio. My name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm your host, and we've got a great show for you today. I always say that, but I always mean that because I really do. We've got some great people, and Dr. Kimberley Linert or something like that.
Linert.
Yes. And she is she's an author. She is. So I couldn't figure out whether or not are you an actual practicing optometrist?
I do. I'm working maybe one, sometimes 2 days a week, but I'm doing so many other things. And in fact, one day I started a new business, and a friend of mine said, "How do you have time to do all that?" And I'm like, "Well, you just do whatever's interesting." And I find lots of things interesting. And it brings up the question when people ask you, "So what do you do for a living?" And I don't know how to answer anymore. See, it's like I'm a problem solver. What is it you need? I started a new business where I loan money for real estate and for business. So do you need that, or do you need me to help you with your health, or do you want me to, share inspiration so you can be happy? I don't know who I am anymore. I'm just everything.
Well, I gotta ask you. So you've got a new. Well, first of all, let's back up. Beep, 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 beep. I'll back up a little bit because you're a podcaster of note, and you've also got a book that's out. It's called Visualizing Happiness. It's got some great reviews, and it's a kind of a how-to book. If you decide that you want to be happy, you can follow the advice that's in that book, and you can figure that out, right?
That's right. At least it's a stepping stone. It's a start.
Well, you got to start someplace. And if you're not willing to start, that becomes a problem for you because you'll never get anywhere if you don't go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it's how is the podcast going? It is called. Remind me what it's called real quick.
Incredible Life Creator, and I interview people from different walks of life just to find out what gives them happiness, fulfillment, how they're putting their gifts out into the world. And the purpose is for people to find their passion and purpose and live it. And sometimes that's what we do for a living, like what I was just talking about, but sometimes it's just our hobbies or things we care about, however we want to craft that life so that we feel good every day.
It's interesting that most of us, a lot of us, some of us, okay, most of us spend all our lives just going day to day and getting up and it's like Groundhog Day. They get up, go to work, and on the weekend, on Saturday, they go get groceries, and then on Sunday they work in the yard, and then they repeat the same thing over and over again, and it becomes a shallow existence over time, I think, doesn't it?
It can be, unless you like that. Some people like that. They like routine. They like to know when they're getting up, when they're coming home, what they're doing. But a lot of us need a bigger creative outlet than that.
I agree. It's and follow your passion. And your passion may not have anything to do with something that you're going to actually make money at. It could be if you like to paint, if you like to walk in the woods, if regardless of what it is, but you should follow your passion and do what you like, right?
Exactly, because life is short, and I'm no, I'm not alone in this. That I lost my fiance a few years ago, actually, just before I published that book, and he's actually that story about him is in that book. And we never know how long we're going to be here or how long people who are important to us are going to be here. And what if you just said, you just kept putting things off, and then all of a sudden you lost touch with that friend, or someone died, like what happened in my case. Life is so short and you don't know how much you have of it. So let's make the most of it. Let's not just do things that are boring or things that just don't excite us. I mean, there should be something that makes you feel so excited that you want to wake up in the morning. I mean, when I wake up, I say, "Oh, thank you." I mean, I just thank you that I woke up. It's awesome because it
Yep,
could be
that's
something opposite.
I'm a little older than you, so I have a lot more thanks because it's it's but no, you're right. And I'm by the way, I'm sorry about your fiance.
Thank you.
And I you're a young woman, so I imagine he was not, and he died before his time.
Yeah, I think I don't care how old you are. We all die before our time, don't we? Who
Yeah.
wants to leave? We-
Well, well, some of us, well, no, that's true. And and the cool thing is, as an example, my mother played her cards right. She lived to be 90.
Mhm,
She went to Bridge on Thursday, went to dinner on Friday,
mhm,
came home, and passed away. And if you got to go, that's how you go,
mhm.
but she had a fine life and she lived to be 90 years old and stuff. But enough of that stuff. Let's talk about your book. What caused you to write your book?
So, I wanted to be able to touch a lot of people and just inspire them to be their best selves. So, my background is in behavioral optometry, which in English means people would come into my therapy center because they had a problem they wanted to solve. Either they wanted to rehabilitate or enhance something that they wanted to do or be. And so, my area is really in high performance. So, and I love seeing people do well. So, I did very well in that profession, helping people be their best. Well, I didn't want to be in an office anymore. And I wanted to see how many people I could actually touch, not just locally in my own neighborhood, but I wanted to be able to touch as many people in the world as I could. And so I researched it and I found that if you're a public speaker and you write a book, that kind of gives you a little bit of a in to be able to speak to a lot of people, because when you write a book, you become an authority, right? And so I wrote this book and I wrote it on happiness because I want everyone to be happy and I want everyone to be doing well. And so I did lots of research for this book on what it is that makes people happy. And one of the things we just talked about is they never complained that they worked too much. They always said, I wish I would have spent time with my family. I wish I would have done the fun things that were on my bucket list that I never did. I want to do something. I want to die proud of myself.
Exactly. But I got to ask you, let's go back in the midst of time when you decided that you wanted to be a public speaker. You wanted to have an impact in people's lives. You wanted to write a book. I'm sure you had somebody in your circle of friends or family that said, Kimberly, now come on, like, get your head out of the sky. You got a good job. Just do what you're doing and you'll be fine. Did you have anybody like that?
Oh, yes, of course, especially my family.
Oh, those people.
Yeah, the family, because they want you to be safe. It's especially your parents' job to keep you safe. So if they see you doing something that might possibly have some risk, it's their job to pull you away from the cliff. So they're just doing their job, and I really appreciate that. But I see something out there across the desert. It looks like a mirage to other people, but I know there's water out there, and I'm heading out that way because that's where the excitement is. When you step into the unknown, when you step into something new that's a little bit scary, there's nothing more exciting, really.
Well, there are so many people that will look at that and go, "Yeah, that's scary. I ain't doing that. That's way too. I that's way out of my comfort zone." How do you
Mhm.
coach people, or do you talk to people in regards to, you can't accomplish anything in life unless you scare yourself a little bit from time to time.
That's true. And I've heard someone else said this, so it's not mine, but they said, you're only learning and growing when you're uncomfortable. If you're in your comfort zone, you're not learning. You're probably actually going backwards. But if you're learning, you're always in discomfort because it's always something new.
And it's can be scary, especially when you've got that little voice in the back of your head, that one that says you can't do that. What makes you think you can do that? Nobody else can do. Why do you think, that little voice that how did, in your case, how did you defeat that little voice, or did you defeat that little voice?
Oh, I totally had to. So I was the child growing up that had a book in her hand all the time. I liked people. I was friendly, but I was shy. I didn't speak up. If we're in a big group, even now, if we're in a big group, I'm going to be the quietest one. I'm the listener. I didn't want to speak up, and I definitely didn't want to be the center of attention for any reason. And so becoming a public speaker, I had to do that. I had to stand up and be in that where the spotlight is, where everyone's looking at you. And that can be really, really uncomfortable. But I just love helping people so much any way I can. So even though now I'm going into lending money, I can help them that way because I can make their business better. If I'm working with their eyes, I can make their eyes better. So it's the mission, it's the purpose, it's trying to see how many people I can help them have more joy in their life. That's the mission. And when you have a big mission or a big why, you just overcome things even when you're scared. And sometimes you need help with that. I mean, I had lots of coaches. I had some of the best speaking coaches, and I had other kinds of coaches that just helped me through that, like from an emotional standpoint, because I couldn't have done it by myself.
What was it like the first time that you got on stage?
I was shaking. I mean, I don't know about you, but I felt like my whole body was shaking everywhere. And you start to talk and you hear the words coming out, and you're almost when you first get out there, you're almost unaware of the audience because you're just trying to make sure you don't fall over,
All off the stage, you know.
fall off the stage or whatever. But once I actually started talking, and I already had practiced and practiced, so I knew my subject area and I knew what I was going to talk about. So it wasn't that. But when I actually started speaking little by little, I was relaxing. And as I relaxed and as I connected with people, because that's what I like to do, if I can connect with you, I feel comfortable, right? So I started connecting little by little with one or two people in the audience, and then more and more and more. And as I connected and actually started speaking about what was in my heart, it got easier and easier. But the first 5 minutes was horrible. But after that, once I get going, I actually really enjoy it because that's when I just get into that zone where I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I know I'm at least helping some of the people who are listening to me. Sometimes the message is for you, sometimes it's not, but I knew that I'm at least connecting with some people, and it's hopefully my hope is that when they stand up to leave that place is that something has shifted in them, or a decision was made, or they're at least encouraged to feel better.
Well, what's interesting about all that is that we get it all wrong. Those of us who talk in public and do some stuff like that, because we think that everybody's going to be super critical. As it turns out, really, everybody that's in that audience that is listening to you wants you to succeed.
Mhm.
And we, for whatever reason, and I don't know why this is, maybe you can help me, we take the attitude like they're going to boo me, they're going to think I'm dull, they're not going to like my message, but the reality is they're there because they want to be there. Nobody drug them in and tied them to the chair. So they really want to learn something, and they want to be they want you to do well, because if you do well, they'll have a good time.
Mhm.
Isn't that, haven't you found that to be true too?
Yeah, that is so true. And also I just found that the more I just share from my heart, it just works better. And also I really love telling stories. And once I actually relax, I can get pretty goofy in my stories, if that makes sense. I'm that person on stage, not just standing there, but I might be acting it out. Like I was telling a story once about when I was pregnant, so I'm walking around with my hands on my back, wobbling across the stage like I was pregnant again, because it just makes it fun, and I feel like it's more engaging.
Yep. It's far more entertaining, and people will play along with you.
Yes,
Um,
they will. It's
and
fun.
they're interested in your success, and that's
Mhm.
and also at the same time you can provide them with some quality information. So what did you speak about?
Mostly about happiness and creating that life. So just the steps to doing that. So first of all, you want to know who you are, because how do you know who you are and what you like if you don't know where you're starting? It's
Well,
no matter what you learn, you have to have a starting point.
yep, and the sad part is that many of us don't know who we are. We depend upon other people to tell us who we are, and what they have to say generally is less positive than we might otherwise like.
That definitely can happen. Sometimes with our best friends, or people who supposedly love us, who know us the best, can sometimes hurt us the most.
And oftentimes they have their best intentions, but
Mhm.
if they don't understand the psyche of what you're trying to do, I had a relative that she didn't want anybody to get a big head, so no matter how well you did, she would always point out the deficiency in what you did.
Mhm.
So if it was like 98% of the speech was wonderful, she'd say, "Yeah, but there was that time and that little spot, and then you could have done that a whole lot better." And in her mind, she was trying to improve you, but in your mind, you were saying, "Oh, great, my mom thinks I suck." Oh, I said my mom. Oh well, uh, and so it can be really hard when you've got somebody close to you that is not wildly enthusiastic in your corner.
Yes. And I'm very visual. And as you were talking about that whole scenario, I imagined this pink balloon all blown up, nice and big, this perfectly beautiful balloon, and just one little pin.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
And it can be that fast too.
Hmm.
Because it can go away, just especially after you get done speaking and you think you've done well,
Hmm.
and then somebody says, "Well, it's like in the podcasting business. If you at the end of the podcast you say, "Well, how did we do?" Well, then it's like, "Oh man, that's
Hmm.
a horrible thing." But I'm glad you're here, and we've got lots to talk about. Um, Visualizing happiness. Let's talk about that. Some of the steps that you have put in the book that people can use to step by step guide to creating happiness and fulfillment in their life, which ultimately is I think the goal for everybody.
Hmm. And the steps actually are quite simple. It's just taking the time to do them, giving yourself that time to sit in a quiet place and ask yourself the questions. So the first one really is, who am I? And in the book, I give several resources if you're not sure where you're starting for personality tests, like the disc tests, where there's the different four major personality types. Now, that's really general, but it can give you an idea of what you like. So if you're, a person that doesn't really like people, then hey, maybe we should find you a job or activities where you're just working with the computer. You're working, you're working alone. But if you have to be with people, you really want to be with people, then we want to find you things where you like, you can be with people all the time. And the next step is to find out what you like, because so many of us are doing a bunch of things in life that we really don't like. And there's some things that are just, you know, you have to make money somehow. So all of us have to do some type of work. So you may not like your work, but at least let's take the time when you're not at work to find the things that you like. And if you don't like your work, then I'd start looking for another form of income and see if you can like it. The other thing we look at is values. What is important to you? So what are the things you absolutely have to have? And it's just like when you go into a relationship with another person, let's say it's a man-woman relationship or a love relationship. They say you have your must-haves and there's no way. Other things are just no way. They're off the table. So look at yourself and say, okay, what are my must-haves? What are the things I definitely don't want? And also values. So that's looking at things like your faith, your family, your job, your community, different things like that. What do you value most? And I give people a way to actually figure that out. I have a little form where you go through, and it's just like optometry. What is better, one or two? Which one is more important, your faith or your career? Which one is more important, your faith or your family? So you go through and you actually can eliminate and get to the end and find out exactly what that is, because sometimes it's surprising what things we thought were important that they went down on the list a little further.
Yeah, and then sometimes we end up absolutely still blind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Especially if we're not answering the question appropriately, and we're like, I don't know, because it's interesting. There are some of us that are walking around and we're not even concerned with we think that this is all there is, and and so they're not concerned with why do I do what I do, and stuff. How do you, and are you able to talk to people in regards to that and able to get them to open up and say, well, why do you do what you do, and why isn't it important to you?
Mm-hmm. So what you're asking me is, they're okay to just keep living the way they're living without even investigating?
Well, some folks don't even, it doesn't even cross their mind. I'll give you an example. My father, he was an executive for many years. He worked 6 days a week his entire life, and that's all he did. And occasionally was able to play golf. But other than that, he had no other interest. He and I asked him that after he retired. And he said, I'm just a one-trick pony. I could work, and I could work hard, and I could do well, but I really couldn't do anything else. So when he retired, he couldn't volunteer, or didn't volunteer. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't do anything else. All he did was play golf until he hurt himself, and then he couldn't play golf anymore. So then he sat on the couch. And that's, to me, that's like, Dad, that's a waste of life. But there are people that are like that. How do we get people to wake up so that they understand that there's more?
I think it's opening up your vision and seeing that there's more. So a lot of times when people don't know, for example, if they're young and they don't know what they want to do for a job, or if they're older and they're in that position where your dad was, a lot of times they don't realize there's other options, or they do, but they just don't try them. And I always encourage people to try something new, even if it's something simple, even if it's a different way to work every day, even if it's when you put your right leg in your pants every day first and then the left leg, switch it up and do the left and then the right,
I
because
don't know that
now
I
we're
can do
getting
that.
we're getting into the brain stuff now. So yeah, so your brain loves novelty. And so you want to give it novelty to start to have new thoughts. So that can start new thoughts. But the other thing about vision is, so many people go around life with blinders on, and they have very limited visual fields. And I've tested this. I can actually test it in the clinic. And a lot of people don't see well or don't use their vision well because they're only using their central vision. They don't see what's going on around them. And so they're totally unaware. So one of the first things I do is I get them to keep their central vision on and turn on their peripheral or their side vision. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, I didn't know that was over there or that was over there. They didn't see it. They just didn't see it. And now they do.
Speaking of which, I'm still stuck on putting the pants on differently than you normally do. It's like, I'm trying to visualize how to do that, and I'm not even. When you've been putting your pants on the same way for 60 years, and then to do it differently, it's like, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to use that example.
But we can even use it just a different way. Okay, let's say that when you cook, you stir the soup with your right hand. And I tell you, okay, I want you to stir the soup with your left hand.
I'll get
Boy,
soup
does
all
that
over the
feel
floor.
strange.
Yes, indeed.
And it's taking thought and concentration, which means it's creating new brain pathways, which is creating new thoughts, which means now you're not the same person anymore.
It's interesting. A couple of years ago, I fell and tore my rotator cuff on my right arm, and
Mm,
had to have it operated on, and it had to be and we're talking immobile for like 6 weeks.
mhm,
And so my left arm was required to do many things that it had never done before, and it was really was I felt like a disabled child
mhm,
because because this didn't work, and so I had to really sit and think about how I was going to do something because I had never done it but that way before.
mhm. Yeah, and that's one of the ways you can open up the person's thinking, like your dad. So c- coming to him in a mental communication, asking him, why don't you, or how come you can't, on a mental level, he can't imagine anything else than what he's already doing.
Right.
But if you stimulated his brain, kind of coming around the back door, if you will, by getting him to do something just a little differently, his thoughts would start to change and shift. And that shifting creates new things, new thoughts, new ways of doing things.
That's really good. I wish I'd have done that. I wish I'd have known to do that at the time, but it was like, well, hell, if you don't want to do anything, I guess you're just going to sit on the couch. And that ultimately led to his demise. But because when you
Yeah.
get to be a certain age and you stop doing stuff, stuff just goes away.
I think it does. I mean, here's my philosophy of life, or philosophy of long life. Two things: you got to breathe and you got to move.
That's true.
Taking good oxygen, and that could include exercise or walking or something. But and you have to move, because as long as you're moving, you're learning. As soon as you sit down, you're not learning anymore.
Unless, of course, we're sitting here having a conversation like this, then we're learning a lot.
Yes,
You
we're
see.
learning a lot, but we're still, see, my hands are going all over. I'm still moving. You're still moving. We're not just comatose.
That's right. So, Dr. Kimberly, you have a website that people need to go to. Where do they go?
It's really easy. It's just my name,
Kimberly.
drkimberlylinert.com. And I'm going to spell it for you because my first name's spelled different. It's KIMBERLEYLINERT. So drkimberlylinert.com.
Very cool. And then when they go there, if they decide that they'd like to talk to you about a speaking engagement, you can do that there, huh?
They could do that there, or they can reach me on social media, because I'm, like I said, I'm a connector. So I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn quite a bit.
Oh, very nice. And I did want to touch bases with you because you were an author, you were an optometrist, and now you're getting into loaning money and working with people to build their dreams through the financial end of stuff. That's kind of a wide range of stuff you're doing.
It really is. And the thing is, a lot of times we change what we're doing because we have a need. So I have three kids who are in their 20s. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the prices of things are going up. The price of gas, the price of rent. It seems like it's going up everywhere. And my kids are working very hard at their jobs and doing a great job. But guess what? Even as hard as they're working and working maximum hours, it's just it's just not enough. They need more income to be able to actually live comfortably. And so about a year and a half ago, I started looking for a business that I could do, that I would like, that would make me excited, but also something I could teach them and pass on to them. And I studied affiliate marketing for months, and e-commerce, and some different things that I thought, well, anybody should be able to learn this. But I found that, and you know this, if you're an affiliate marketer, affiliate marketing is not necessarily as easy as they say when they're on those ads. There's a lot of work to it, and you have to have money for marketing and things like that, because if you're trying to do it organically, you can, but it's going to take a long time. So I wanted something that I could teach them and that was sustainable and recession proof. Well, people always need money, And so I was introduced to this money lending. So now I lend money to people who need money for real estate investments, and that could be residential or commercial, and also people who need money for business, and that could be a small business who needs 50 or 100,000 to multi-million dollar businesses. And so the e-commerce and the affiliate marketing, even though I was doing it, learning it, I wasn't excited about selling a $2 item on Amazon. It just wasn't. It didn't excite me. It didn't make me want to get up in the morning.
Nope.
But this, helping people get money and giving people money, man, what a great job. I love that. I would love to be able to help people make their dreams come true by making, their business better, by getting the money they need to run their business or to scale their business, or to create this real estate deal where they have security for their family because they're actually have the money they need. So it excites me. Big deals excite me. Business excites me. So now I'm learning this, and it is something that I can pass on to my kids, and they can easily learn it, because with this business, the other thing is I was looking for something that was more automated, and I'm still doing nose to nose, toes to toes, connecting with people. But when it comes to doing the paperwork, if you will, we have virtual assistants and assistants for that. So it can be very, very automated, and it can be easy for me to actually teach my kids to do. So that's what prompted that. And I'm very excited about it because I like new stuff, and I'm meeting new people because of it.
Well, and I'll tell you, I have two boys. One is 30, well, about to be 31. The other one's about to be 34. And until they got to be close to 30, it was, Dad, how are you? Nice to see you, Dad. Do you have any money, Dad? And I don't know what happened. That was my favorite excuse was, Dad, I don't know what happened, but I don't have any money. And it's like in my world, because I grew up in a different time, it's like,
Mhm.
okay, how could that possibly be?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me at all. What did it just disappear? Did you spend it on, but you're going to be the bank of mom for several more years.
Probably.
But if you can help them and,
Mhm.
and get a career or to learn how to do something, that's a really good idea. Congratulations. That's pretty cool.
Well, thank you. Because you think about it, just we were talking about, you know, making the most of every day because you don't know when you're going to be gone. Well, what if I was gone all of a sudden? What would my kids do? And I want to think about legacy. And I think that's also very important to think about when it comes to your life. It's not just you're impacting. It's not, you're not the only one you're trying to make happy. You're here, you have a purpose, you have a reason for being here because you have a gift that you're supposed to give other people, whether it be your family or the world. There's a reason you're here, and there's a legacy that you're supposed to leave. And it's your job to figure out what it is and to actually expand your gift and master it.
Absolutely. I was talking with a gentleman last hour who's been battling cancer for 10 years.
Mhm.
And including he had to have one of his legs amputated, and he had spots
Mhm.
on his lungs. And the doctor said, you need to go, this was at year 8, mind you. So he'd been through
Mhm.
this for 8 years. And the doctor said, you need to have chemo. And he said, I don't know that is it going to make my life a lot longer? And he said, no, I don't know. Not necessarily. And he said, well, I don't know if I want to go through that pain. So he goes home and starts talking to his wife. His daughter overhears him and says, okay, the daughter says, family meeting. So they go and they sit around the kitchen table, and and the daughter's taking charge. She's all of 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
And she's saying, all right, Mom, what do you think? Dad, what do you think? This is what I think. Okay, let's vote.
That's
and
great.
and and Mom and her raised their hand, and Dad was like, wait a minute, this is my body, I don't get a choice. No, because they love him and they
Mhm.
wanted to keep him here,
Mhm.
and they felt like he had way too much to do to go. I thought that was just a fascinating story, that sometimes we don't value ourselves as much as others value us.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said that, I was thinking of a woman that she was actually a patient of mine, and her son was a patient of mine and went through vision therapy at my clinic years ago. and she got cancer very young. And you think, well, gosh, once you have cancer and you're just laying in the bed, what purpose can you possibly have? But there is a purpose in everything. And let me tell you, when I went in to visit her, I went to her home and was visiting her. The whole time, instead of letting anyone ask about her, she was asking about you. She was smiling. She was vibrant. She looked like an angel, really. She'd gotten so thin, but she looked like an angel, and she was just sending out love and blessings, and she had a purpose. Until you stop breathing, you've got a purpose.
Exactly. And even sometimes, even after you stop breathing, if you've lived your life in a real meaningful way and you've been
Mhm.
impactful to other people, even after you're gone, you will be, as an example, you have a podcast. You have 200 and some odd episodes. That's going to outlive you because it doesn't go away once it's there. It's going to outlive you for a long time. But I was going to say, you got kids in your 20s. Were you what, 10 when you started getting
Oh, thank
got
you
married and
so
stuff?
much.
But I mean, so but you're a young woman. You've got lots and lots and lots of things to contribute and lots of time, and I think it's awesome. And I've been reading some of the reviews of visualizing happiness, and well, one says, "Oh my God, this book is brilliant," and so go get the book, and you can get it at Amazon and everywhere, but they can also buy it from your website, right?
Actually, no, it's just on Amazon.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so go to Amazon and pick up Visualizing Happiness.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
now,
Yellow sunny book.
yep, that's a great picture on the front of it. I love that.
Mm.
I love that. So are you going to do you see? I have over 600 episodes up. I love, love, love. I've got 10 episodes this week. I'm doing like 10 a week. Um, until and stuff. But do you like it? I love it. Do you like doing podcasts?
I just love it because it's my give back. So I feel like I am inspiring people, and I feel like you said, it's something I can leave, but also something I'm hoping that helps people. I was talking to a friend who's one of his passions is helping people with mental health. And we've had a lot of stuff going on with mental health. So if people listening to that podcast, they're encouraged and it stops them from hurting themselves or leaving us, hey, that's worth it. But I also just love connecting with people. I mean, part of my favorite thing is actually just finding awesome, amazing people to have on my podcast. So I'm always in search, and I'm talking to people, and it just gives me a reason to meet more people. So as long as I can keep meeting more people, um, and I can share those people and how amazing they are and their gifts with other people, it just feeds everyone.
You know what's funny? Some people you can read like a book. And in your case, when we started talking about your podcast,
Mhm.
you lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yes.
Because I can tell that is you love doing it. That's your passion. You should continue to do it, and I'd love for you to come on my show on a regular basis and talk about what all that you're doing. And we can, next time we talk, we can go down the financial piece if you want to, and maybe we can get somebody that needs some help, and that
Mhm.
you can help them get other than like my podcast. But I got it's we've got a ways to go to get to monetize it, but you know how that game is played.
Mhm.
It's tough.
Yep. Mine's just for free, just for fun.
That's all I do, and but I'm retired now, so
Mhm.
I know too many people that have retired and then they stop, and then I had a good friend that he retired, and I asked him, I when last time I saw him, I said, "So what are you doing?" And he said, "Not a damn thing," and he seemed to be proud of it.
I guess as long as it makes them happy, but I think it'd get boring pretty quickly. I mean, I've even heard of, entrepreneurs who make it, they get to the financial place they want to be, and they start playing and they start traveling the world and after about a year, they goes, oh, I can't stand this. And they go back to work and they go create a new company or something because they can't stand to sit at the beach every day. I mean, it's,
Yes,
you got to do something to stimulate your mind and your thoughts and your heart.
exactly. And just as an epitaph, my friend passed away because he was not doing, he wasn't doing anything, and he wasn't being of value to himself or other people. And that's, like I end every show with this little saying that says, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got, and
Right.
ultimately each other is all we have. And that's why we're here, is to experience life and to experience each other and to help each other through it. God knows this is difficult enough if you don't have any support, but if you have support, it can be easier.
That's right. That's right.
So, and let's get out your information one more time, and then I've got another podcast lined up, so I've got to be going. But Kimberly, I want to thank you for being here. You are delightful, and it'll be fun to continue working with you. And I'm really curious to know how the financial thing goes for you.
I think it's going to go good because everybody likes to talk about money, right?
So, oh yes. Everybody wants free money until you have to pay it back.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
so get your information one more time. How does somebody get a hold of you?
All right. So, Dr. Kimberley Linert.com or on LinkedIn or Facebook, same name.
Very good. And that's Linert. And her podcast is the Incredible Life Creator. You can listen to it on Spotify, on Apple, and, as they say, wherever you like to go to get your podcasts. So you can listen to that one and then listen to mine. That's a prerequisite. So is there anything else you'd like to add before we go, my dear?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on. When we did our pre-interview time, I really loved getting to know you, and you have an awesome podcast, and you're giving so much value, and I appreciate you, and thank you, and keep doing it.
I have no choice. I have people lined up into June. So, I love giving people a forum and presenting people who can actually make a difference in somebody's life. And that's what Positive Talk Radio is all about. And I know you're doing the same thing. And we need more of us to be doing this to make the planet a better place for all of us.
I agree. Well, thank you so much.
Kimberly, thank you for being here, and wait right there, and I'll be right back. Thanks for enjoying this episode all the way to the end. Please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. This has been a production of kmmedia.pro. Please visit our website, oddly enough, named kmmedia.pro, for more details about us and our mission, which is to provide great positive programming designed to inspire us all. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm proud of these shows, and I truly hope that you'll like them and share them with friends and family. So on behalf of our entire team, remember, be kind to each other, because each other's all we've got. We'll see you next time.